So this is a session which tells us who will get through to the last 16. And Martin Gould, 6-3 down, has got a lot on this morning. I think he's capable of turning this match around, but needs to make an early inroad, I would say, into that lead. It was 6-2, so at least he won the last frame of the session. David Gilbert, his opponent, played pretty well yesterday. Each of the 6 frames that he won, he made over a half century in every one of them. So he's good for his lead, that's for sure. He's played by far the better of the 2 players.
Well, that was well played. He had to get a lot of backspin on that to avoid the middle pocket. Perfect now on the red.
3.
Neil said he needs to get a good start. 3-1 obviously would be a good first 4 for him for the interval. 4-0 would be perfect.
4.
But yesterday he threw a few mistakes in here and there. I was on the match, and unusual for Martin. He's a very solid player normally. The one thing in his favour, he's experienced himself the comeback when he was 11-5 in front to Neil Robertson and lost that match 13-12. So he should be thinking of that, really, how he felt when Robertson came back at him, and how his opponent would feel today if he makes a comeback. Such a big part of what we see here at the Crucible.
Martin Gould 11.
Well, the shot before on the black pushed the red that was in play back into the pack. Well, that is an excellent safety shot. Yeah, Martin was behind in his match against Marco Fu last year and managed to make the comeback, so it's not beyond him to do so. He's in trouble for this particular shot, though. Can just get to the edge of that red on the right. It's in the middle of the table there. As you can see, what on earth can he do with that? One, he can glance off thin, and he can't just play the dump shot to get the cue ball down to the black end. So he's playing as if he's in a snooker. Drop in behind that red. This has got to be extremely accurate. I'm not sure how that shot was going to work. He's made contact, and it's not an easy one, but he has given David Gilbert something to go at here.
These are not nice. And he struck that in very well.
1.
It's guaranteed to be on a colour there. The natural angle is taking him down towards the bar colours. Similar pattern here that taking place yesterday. In the first session, the balls are opened pretty early on in the frames, and that's why we had so many breaks, and both these players like to get in amongst them and like the fast open play.
6.
Dale Gilbert, of course, was here in 2007, his previous visit against Stephen Henry, led 5-1 in that match and lost 10-7. So that's the last thing he needs to be thinking about. More experienced player now, he's been professional since 2001.
Oh, 14.
And he may be forced to take the pink on here in the centre. He didn't play for it.
That's if the pink actually pots. I suspect that it doesn't. No, he can't get to enough of that to pot it, so it will have to be the black. He's already played one shot, queuing awkwardly. Well, didn't think there was enough of that to pot it, to be honest. I think he might be playing safe. That'll be disappointing. Not sure what he's quite looking at here. Well, he was playing with a touch of side to straighten the angle, but it looked incredibly tight to me. Well, maybe with a touch of right-hand side he could straighten that angle, but you don't want to be playing shots like that unless you absolutely have to. He could drop the black in, and if he misses it, he might cover the pocket for the red down the cushion. I'm not sure what he's looking at here, because he's actually queuing up on the red, so your guess is as good as mine. This will be a very good pot if he gets it.
Well, as Neil said, he's got to turn it if he's playing the pot, and he's managed it. It was a very brave shot. He knew he couldn't get to the potting angle, and I must say that was, in my opinion, a poor choice of shot, but it could win in the frame.
Oh, what a marvellous way of playing it. You saw exactly what he was trying to do there. You saw that he was right of centre striking. The pot wasn't on, but he managed to straighten it up. A terrific shot. And anyone watching perhaps Martin in his chair thinking, well, it went all along, I can assure you that didn't go plain ball.
21.
He's always been a good player, David Gilbert, but occasionally in the past he hasn't achieved perhaps what he should. He's been around a while, 11 years of professional, although, as I recall, he struggled to get his ticket, missed out by one place on 2 or 3 occasions. But that's all behind him now.
Yes, he's one of the players that came through the qualifying school to get on tour this year. And that's starting again now, because he has a kick there, I'm afraid, on the black, taking the speed out of the cue ball.
36.
Qualifying school starts on May the 13th, and the players there, well, there's well over 100 entries again to try and get a place on the main tour. And the 4 semi-finalists qualify for the main tour, so there's 12 places, 3 tournaments, and 12 semi-finalists get through to the main tour. This year, for the first time, keeping the card for 2 years. It used to be 1 year. So a big incentive, and when you see people like Dave coming through and get into the crucible, I'm sure it'll inspire some of the players go into the qualifying school.
Years, if you look back at the history of the game, players that have dropped off the tour that were certainly too good to do so. It happened to Ryan Day once, and even more successful players than him. Neil Robertson dropped off the tour, as did Sean Murphy, because in 1 year it was always difficult for them to make an impression.
40.
David Gilbert's had the pressure taken off him in that regard.
Dave Gilbert 40.
Well, that came as a surprise after some of the shots that he got during that break. Just dragged it a little wide, didn't he? Didn't quite hit through it.
Good opening red here from Martin. You wouldn't have been expecting this opening. Now he's in another position with the blue. He's got a slight angle to try and force it up and down the table, but not a lot to play with. Oh, unlucky. Unlucky twice.
Foul. Martin Gould 1.
Thought it was a big ask there to get in and out of the balk area, back down for a red.
I mean, he was unlucky though to knock the brown in, because at least he'd had a shot of some kind at the red into the right corner that David Gilbert's now got. Has to be unlucky, that.
For the first time in the match, Dave Gilbert showed a little bit out then after he missed that red past the pink in his previous visit. Yesterday he didn't show at all. I've watched him in qualifiers before, and he has a tendency to lose his control out there a little bit. Well, doesn't everybody, but he shows it a bit. He was knocking all those in yesterday. Today's a different ask.
Certainly today's where it's all about, getting over that line, which he couldn't do when he played here once before, albeit against Stephen Hendry, as Terry pointed out. And I think Hendry came into that tournament with a cue that he'd only been using it about a week or something. That was a good chance for David Gilbert, but experience shone through in the end, and he was beaten.
Great red. He's not going to get a colour, but if you can get close to one of the ball colours here with a snooker, it put Dave Gilbert back under pressure.
Martin Gould. Foul, the miss. Martin Gould 4.
Well, that's the kind of two-cushion escape he's trying here, but sometimes off the second cushion it just slides, and that's usually the way they would miss him, down to the right of the intended red as we look at the shot. Oh, that's even further away than the first effort.
Foul, the miss.
So he made the misjudgment, or the correction of the shot as he saw it, but it was quite a long way out. It's not an easy shot, but worse because the red is actually touching the cushion. If it was off by an inch or two, he'd have a bigger target at it. This is very close.